Hey,
Hey,
what's up?
what's going on?
Oh, just it's been a few years.
I I shut my other stuff off, so hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully no alarms go off.
Yeah, we'll be all right there, sir. Anyway, well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So, been a fun 10 years, buddy.
Yes,
Yes, yes, it has been,
it's been
to say the
something.
least. It's been something.
Yeah.
Should we talk about all the things we've done? How we changed? I mean, we
Sure.
started as a good old dev shop. I mean, we found each other through Will, um,
Do people know who Will is?
from Seer Interactive. I hope people know who Will is. I hope people know who Will is. If you don't, you should look him up. It's Will with one L. So that was after multiple failed companies, I finally found each other, and we started this thing out of nowhere, doing development work, which is just fun. Was Magento? Magento was like out just now, right?
Barely. It was barely
Barely,
out.
right?
Yeah.
Was it still? It was still variant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um.
Yeah, because it was like on my list of stuff. Well, I guess I was not at Everett's yet. I was still at S. Walter, and we were going on. It was like a version right before 1.0, and we
Right.
built on that and launched it, and that's when we met.
Right. Because we put what did we put?
You guys
I'm
had
trying to figure
Island
out what's.
Beach gear.
Yeah, we had Island Beach Gear, which was part of Tackle Direct, which was out in Jersey, and that's really who brought Magenta to me, um, which is kind of crazy. Remember those days of Magento where like nothing was documented?
Yeah. So 10 years ago, I was at S. Walter, and you were round three.
I was round three. Ooh.
And it's funny because originally we wanted some help building on Magento and found you guys and called you up, and somebody was like, "We don't do that." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
It wasn't me.
Yeah. And then and then we hired Sear. I don't even know how much I can go into like what happened at S. Walter because a lot of that was like private equity and stuff. But
Yeah.
we things changed there, and I don't think we ever actually signed with Will. We brought him in, we were ready to sign, and I don't think it ever went through, which was unfortunate because Sears awesome, and they would have been really great partner. And
Yeah.
I got really frustrated over some of the changes that were happening. I didn't get along with some of the new people there, some of the new leadership, and I kind of begged Will for a job. And he was just like, I was like, I'll do anything. Like, your place is amazing. I'd love to come work for you. And he said, but your heart's not in SEO. He's like, but I think I know somebody I can introduce you to. So that's when I don't know if he gave me your email address, your number, or something.
I think my number. I remember that
Yeah.
night. I was out with my friend Megan, and then I had a call. That's funny. I still remember that night. I mean, like talk. I was like, "Oh, let me take a 5 minute phone call." 45 minutes later.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then what? Like 4 months later, I basically had to start a company all over again because that failed. Um, and then we started a company together. And then 4 months after that, we moved in together.
And
Which is
yeah, because we did a project while I was at S. Walter.
yeah, yeah. What were we doing? Oh, the bird one.
Yeah, the effortless bird feeder.
Effortless bird feeder. Wow, that was a hell of a project because we had to like combine a whole bunch of video stuff in there, like 10 years ago, into Magento itself, which was what, version 1,
Something
like
like that. One, one,
2.
one. Yeah, one or one, one. And it was
Oh,
Flash video.
oh yeah, Flash video, man, that was a crazy one.
And they had one
Um,
product.
and they had one product, and then we started other work. At some point, somehow I got a connection to Aria system, and then we got to work on Roku that first year, which was bonkers.
Yeah, was that
Um,
before or after we were Sumo? I don't remember.
no, that was after. We were Sumo at
Yeah.
that point. Yeah, because we started doing the Island Beach Gear stuff, and that was still under the other company, and then we did the effortless bird feeder, and that was the day, like that was the time where like, all right, well, I guess we have to switch up because it came about at the same time.
Yeah.
Still my favorite story, like calling John, our director of marketing, and going, hey, I want to use this name for Sumo Heavy, and then calling you up is like, oh, you're a partner in Sumo Heavy, and you're like, okay. As it is usually with me, I'm just like, we're just gonna do it. So we did it, which was fun. The weird part is like living together and then working from the same place every day. Um, Strangely enough, actually worked. I would never recommend it for anybody. It worked for us, but I would definitely not recommend for everybody. Um, and then we moved around, man. It's weird. Like 10 years, we like moved, got married, moved multiple times, moved offices multiple times, hired, fired. It's just like very
Yeah,
strange time.
so you figure after us, Walter, so we did that project.
Mm-hmm.
I left there and worked out of Everett's place
Yep.
and worked there full time, but also worked on our stuff. And they were kind enough to let us use the office, so that was cool.
Yeah.
And then once we kind of got to a point, you and I sat down with them and we're like, this thing's taking off. We
Yeah.
should
It's doing its thing.
probably focus on that full time. I needed a new apartment. Your partner, not business partner, your roommate was moving out,
Yep.
and then I moved in, and then the fun started.
Yep. And then we almost lost our shirt that first year.
Yeah. And the crazy thing
uh,
was that was only a year. That was only a year because I moved in May, I think, and I met Kelly the next February in
yeah. Yeah. You met your
in
wife. Yeah.
2012.
Yep. The funny thing is, in that year, we almost lost our shirt. Got out of it. Got an office space. Remember the weird office space we got?
Yeah.
Because we had a whole bunch of people working at our apartment, and then we got an office space, and then like did a whole bunch of stuff, and then the year after, you had to move to New York.
Yeah,
That's
we moved to New York first because then in that timeline, so I lived with you for a year,
Yep.
right? So from May 2011 to February-ish 2012, met Kelly, moved in,
Yep.
you got a different place, and then we got married in May because yesterday was our anniversary, 8
That's
years.
right. Oh, Jesus.
And then in September, we moved to New York, and I just worked from home. And then when did you move to New York?
Um,
Later in 2012?
yeah, I think so. Because I was in New York for 5, and I've been back in Philly for almost 2. So
It would have been
almost 7 years
2013
ago.
because it was springtime. It
Yeah,
was like
yeah, it was like
springtime.
2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. And then I moved to New York, and then was there for 5 years, and then you moved back.
Yeah, and then we had how many WeWork offices in New York? We had
Oh God, the original one, Varick, uh, Broadway, and then Dumbo.
yeah.
Yeah,
So we moved around a bunch there. Every time getting a bigger and bigger office.
yeah, because we have more and more people,
Yeah.
and just growing every client. It was also a funny time because when you were in New York, we got a client out in Philly, outside of Philly, so you had to go back to Philly a bunch of times.
Yeah, and then in 2016 we moved back to Philly because New York was just getting like way too expensive for what we wanted. And
Yeah, and then we got a client in
then
New
we got a
York
big
that you
client
had
in
to
New
come
York.
up.
Yeah, couldn't win.
Let's talk about like how our world changed too in like the ecom space, because we've been around it for a very long time. And in reality, like ecom was never interesting to me at all. I just like doing client services. My thing was always desktop support, networking and things like that. Ecom is really just yours. You brought that in. Um,
Yeah, that whole thing is weird too.
mhm.
Like the way I got into that was I started I was like a busboy when I was 13. Won't say where because that'd probably get them in trouble. And like for being 13, like it was interesting because you'd make a couple $100 a week and it's like you were rich. And
Yeah,
I got tired of it because it was like on school nights from like 6 till midnight and that was bad. That's just that's just bad for a 13-year-old kid.
yeah.
And I left that, but I wanted money because I got used to it. So there was like a family friend, an older guy who sold um, you figure it was like early 2000s, so like sports collectibles were still a thing. Baseball cards were kind of on their way out, but like people were getting like the die-cast trucks and stuff like that. And so I set him up with an eBay shop and made a website with links to the eBay listings in like front page. And
Oh my
he
God, front
was,
page.
yeah. And so I'd take pictures of the products, make the pages, make the listings, put them up, and and that was a couple years later. So I think it was like 15 or so, and I
Mhm.
was making $40 an hour. And I was like, well, ecom's cool because you can like see the results of what you're doing, but you can also, the more the people you work for make, the more you can make.
Yeah,
And I kind of, I like that. There's like a real value to your time, which is the best the best way to work.
yeah. I mean, it shows you real time. It's not like a long term type thing. So, so you bring that to me because we started doing some e-commerce work. Um, as an agency. I mean, we were taking on anything, and we just started focusing on e-com because it's really of you, not me. Um, that's fun. And then we went from just a dev shop charging almost nothing, really, hourly. Remember those days?
Yeah, I think when we started, we were working for like $30 an hour.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, and we had like barely enough. We could pay our rent. Sometimes we could pay the internet, or we could pay our cell phones. You know,
Right. We basically survived on Bodie coffee and Dark Horse meals.
and the car accident.
I had a car accident. Yeah, that's the weirdest part. You got a car accident, it got paid out, and he just like shelled that money out somewhere.
Yeah, thankfully everybody was okay, but that could have been really messy, and we were really lucky. Uh,
Yeah.
and that was coincidentally the last time I owned a car.
Yeah. I think I sold my car right before that, but
Yeah.
in all that time, I actually now own a car again. Um, it's there. Then we got more clients, just building Magento sites, and then we got into. I guess after when we got Pet 360 is where we really got into doing a lot more consulting work, right? Is that
Yeah,
our
they
first
were
one?
interesting. They were pretty much our first really. big client that wasn't a project.
Yeah.
Because up until then, we were doing one-off projects, and some of them were big, and some of them were multi-months, and we were dividing the payment up. But until then, we kind of started on projects, right? Project-based stuff, and then split it up over monthly payments. And yeah, it was all right.
Because that
But
was the
then
days.
we
That was
ran.
right before. That was after. Pathos was after bonobos, right? Because we got bonobos at that
Oh
same time.
yeah, yeah. It was a few years after that,
Yeah.
and we finally hit the situation where the projects were getting bigger and bigger, and the problem was one, the first year when we almost didn't get paid, and then later on when one of our clients was like, well, we appreciate that you built these features and reports, but we
We're
decided
not
we're
gonna
going to
use them.
implement, yeah, we're not going to use them, so we're taking those off of the bill. And that was kind of a real turning point for us. After that, we started to do um
We got into retainer work and consulting.
yeah, it was a weird retainer. We were doing like those buckets of hours where like
Mm-hmm.
you could pay us hourly, you could pay us a bucket of hours for a discount, but then we had to build our own like statement system because nothing
Nothing
off the
worked.
shelf that was web based was really doing it. And
Yeah.
so then we would like have this weird thing that sent statements with all the tickets and the related work, and nobody cared, and it was a pain. And so that's when you started to kind of figure out how the real retainer stuff could work, and we figure out our margins and how much average time and all of that, and
And then one day I just said, "This
found
is what we're doing. Work backwards."
yeah, and we try it out. And so basically it put the burden of time tracking on us to just make sure our margins are good, but also people saw the value. So we got um, I don't know that we should talk about the clients and who was retainer and who wasn't, but we kind of got our first real retainer, and it made for the best relationship. Not just at the business level, but for internally. They treated us like employees. We were, and and they were really nice to our devs because they were involved all the time. They were really
Mm-hmm.
nice to us. We'd go on site a couple times a week, and it was really great. And we were with them until um, they made acquisitions and they were acquired, and we're really there until the end. And it was a nice ride. Um,
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, 100% of our clients now are retainer based, and we stuck with it, stuck to our
yeah,
guns to it. It's always an interesting conversation with a potential client, because it just takes them out of the whole, because they're comparing apples to apples, and we're totally different. Um, you know, and we really stick to our guns on a retainer model. As much as I sometimes want to go around it, I don't, just because I know what the other side looks like, and I don't like it. Um, so that's really there, and then we just kept on signing up bigger and bigger clients. And this is now 10 years later, and we're doing this. Do you think if we did it differently, like actually partner up with all these platforms and do it hourly, and we'll be bigger than this?
yeah, I do.
Yeah. Would you do it
Yeah,
over?
no, no.
Me neither. I like it that way.
I mean, you look at we have a lot of agency friends, right? And you look at the ones who made all these
Mhm.
partnership deals and stuff, and they got really big. Some of them took out loans because they couldn't keep up with the growth, and they had to grow faster and faster and faster. But they never made money. They all end up getting acquired. They all end up getting aqua-hired, which is the worst. That's like the worst of
Yeah.
all options.
I mean, some got paid out, but it's never big, right? It's like running your own
Yeah,
thing
and
and
they never
playing
really
around.
seemed happy.
No, no, they don't. And I mean, we have our own struggles, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being where we are and what we do. I mean, we definitely have a lower growth, but kind of define growth. Every
Yeah,
time you tell people like our margins are nice, they're just steady. Are we growing fast? No, and I like it that way.
When we talked to people at the BizDev camp, they didn't believe our march. Like they told me you are lying, and
No, we're not.
because a lot of the hourly guys are making 1% or 2%, and you just can't live on that.
No.
Then you farm your dev out to folks that you just might not give you the quality that you need, and then you churn clients, and you're going through all that churn and constantly on the hunt for 1 or 2% when you could have fewer clients, have 5 clients, 10 clients, and make more than 1 or 2% and actually have a good relationship. Like that's way better.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
To
absolutely.
have clients where people internally go to bat for you and talk to the managers, and then you start to talk to executives and you grow in your roles there. Like that's way better than doing the same thing over and over for 20 years. I think that's the thing that keeps me sane, right? Is if you look at what we do today and you look at what we did 10 years ago, like all of our roles have changed a lot, and it really helps our internal people grow too.
Yeah, I mean, we did it with, 10 years ago, we just kind of put it together as much as we could. Now it's
Yeah.
like there's defined roles. Like, to be honest, sometimes I don't know what's going on daily with stuff because I'm busy with my own things that have to get done. And we have plenty of people, like all our top management knows what they're doing, and we don't have to worry about it.
And if you look at the growth of the people here, especially like Pat and Melissa, look at how their roles have changed and how much trust we have in them, just implicit trust, like
Yeah.
to know that whatever they do, it's the right decision.
Yeah. No,
It's,
absolutely.
you don't have that everywhere. It's nice.
No. And we have their back. Like that's just how we roll, right?
Yeah.
Um, so about ecom, sort of the whole ecom sphere of things. How do you think it changed? Your favorite topic. I mean, from
Um,
platforms to like what people use and like, is it? It has changed over 10 years.
yeah, I think it's kind of weird now. I think a lot of people just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
There's like not enough coverage for that. You have Shopify, BigCommerce, and those guys, right?
Hmm.
And they're great for a lot of people. Then you have Magento and Oracle and IBM and all the big guys, and they're great too for what they do.
Yeah.
But there's still no middle ground.
No.
And so we went from a place where there was like kind of nothing and everything was super technical, and you had OS Commerce and Xcart and all those things that were rough, to having the small stuff and the big stuff, but there's still no real middle ground. And I think that's why there's so many SaaS products now. And I think it's starting to shift towards so much more modularity, and that's not going to stop.
Yeah. Is it like more modular, more like microservices, or is it just people will
That's
adjust to?
kind of a deeper layer to it.
Yeah.
Um, I think that because there's so much acquisition and turnover, and I think that people get a little anxious because on something like Shopify or BigCommerce, you don't have control, and their roadmaps aren't always as legitimate as they propose. And then you have something like Magento acquired by Adobe, where you used to have complete control, and now nobody really knows what's next, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's there's always a surprise, and they're all great platforms. That's not to say anything bad about any of the platforms, but not knowing what next, I think, is kind of forcing people to think a little bit how much vendor lock-in they want.
Yeah.
And so it's starting to get into this camp of, we see people building tools of their own, and we also see other people kind of splitting out functionality into third parties. So you might have one service to handle returns, another one to handle your cart, another tool to handle your CMS, which is interesting. That's that modularity. And then some of the bigger guys are just building their own at this point, because 10 years ago, to build a cart and have security that was tricky. Everybody says
Mhm.
use a framework, don't build your own, don't roll your own. And now we've kind of gone from frameworks to libraries, and that's something a lot of people push
Right.
for now is right. Don't build a framework, build a library. Where if you want to build a shopping cart is so easy to build nowadays that you even see it's kind of the base for people to get you to use their platform, right? So
Right.
you figure like Microsoft, they want you to use .NET Core. So what do? They build an example shopping cart, not necessarily the whole CMS to go with it or OMS or anything like that, but a sample shopping cart with microservices that can hold products, orders, customers, whatever. And that's kind of the example that you get.
Right.
And so now if you want to build something in Node or .NET or PHP or Rails or whatever you want, you could do it on your own and add pieces you need over time. So a lot of our bigger clients are doing that now and kind of getting away from vendor lock-in and building their own because it's just between cloud hosting being so inexpensive and all the tools being there with the security built in, it's easy.
Yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, Shopify is technically just a cart and a checkout, right? For the most part.
Yeah,
To add features and stuff like that, you still have to do plugins and all the things they do. I mean, obviously they have the catalog and all that, but like that's what they've been doing for a while.
yeah. And it's interesting to see how they refuse to deviate from 80/20 even for plus customers.
Yep.
You could have a very large plus customer and Shopify will not let them drive the roadmap. That is not how they operate.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to see people go on plus for the scalability, but then hit fundamental issues that they need to change their business processes around for the tool rather than adapt the tool to their business processes, which
Drives me nuts.
that's where we see frustration, especially in the
Yeah.
accounting realm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that drives me nuts. Like, don't push the tool. It's what's the best tool for the client, not the opposite. What's the best client for the tool? I just never seen that. Like, I guess Shopify, there's good clients for it, but I just never seen that as a play. Which we've been against since forever, since we started. Like, it's the best solution for each client at that moment, and looking beyond. So that's been definitely a guiding thing. Um, in the style of In a Ring, fun questions for you. What are you currently obsessed with? Doesn't matter what it
Wait,
is.
me personally,
Yes,
or
yes.
or like
Personally,
the people
yes,
on the
you.
call?
No. You personally.
Oh,
The question for you.
um, I don't know. Uh,
It doesn't matter what it is. By the way.
wishing we could play outside.
Okay, that's wishing. That's not being obsessed about something. Let's see, mine used to be um, this spicy chicken inside of a waffle out in Jersey. It's literally that's what I was obsessed with for a while.
I know not to steal food, but probably fajitas, which is funny. It Kelly found a really good fajita recipe, and we've been making it more than once
All
a
the time.
week. Uh-huh. It's really good. It's healthy, and it's like I could just eat 1,000 of them. It's so good. So anyway, yeah.
Fajitas are good. That's a good answer. My wife just went, she wants out fajitas. Good job. Good job, sir.
We'll send it to you. It's really good. It's really good.
Awesome. Nice. And the last question, since we're just, doing this together, what was the last thing you bought online?
The last thing I bought online was a microphone, which did not come in time for this.
Hey man, it's okay. We're just doing this. So, well, sir, it's been 10 years. Um, too many more. That's all I got. Hopefully we get
Yeah,
to play outside more and more
definitely.
and more.
Oh, I know. The world's gotta get together and and get better.
Get together. Gotta calm down. Right now it's
Yeah,
on
we all.
fire.
Yes. Yeah, we got to put out the fire and get to the point where we can enjoy some sunshine. It'd be nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to enjoy some of it today at some
Open
point.
the windows. There's a big storm coming tomorrow. Wait, no,
Yeah.
tomorrow's Thursday. It's coming
Yeah.
Friday. Earlier I thought it was Tuesday. It's been a long week.
Fair enough, sir. All right.
85 and storms on Friday.
85 and storms on Friday. That's not okay.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
No.
No.
No. But I'll take it.
Anyway,
I'll take it.
yeah, I guess so. You can actually open a window.
So
Right.
what are we going to be doing in 10 more years?